Okay, so yeah. Okay, so this is just from a basic point of view, from the demo point of view. So Dynamics 365 is basically the ERP that we are looking into it, and it is part of the Microsoft line. Previously, it was called an AX7, and right now it is branded to Dynamics 365. So the evolution and everything will go into that. So this is the evolution of technology. So from the 2009, this was the older version, and this is the version which is still in use. Those this version is still in use, but for this version Microsoft has stopped support also. For this version support is still on, but selling is stopped. Only right now, if anyone wants to implement a new Dynamics 365, he has to go for the latest version, which is a cloud ERP. But before going into that, let us understand few of the basic terminology. So let us not go into the slides. Okay, so for any project, if we are going into that, so but before that, what is ERP and how we are getting the benefit out of it? So ERP is nothing but our enterprise resource planning. It is basically an application which is an integration of all the business models. So take an example of any local kirana shop or local stationery shop, right? So if you go and buy some groceries, grocery item, if you just buy toothpaste, soap, everything, you will see a small shop, right? And you will see a shelf in the walls, and he will give the first item which is there in the rack. So that is there in the rack, and he will give you the first item. And also he is also maintaining the purchasing and also the sales, finance, everything on his own, that one person who is managing that local shop, because that is a very small operation. He is getting some items from the distributor channel, he is selling those to the local people, he is getting money, and he is having a balance in the book. So what is exactly he is doing? He is managing his finance, he is managing his purchase, he is managing his sales, and also at the same time inventory, because that inventory part, he is actually selling you the items which is near expiry. Okay, so the soap, shampoo, any sanitizers, whatever he is selling, those items are near expiry. That is why he is actually selling you those items, because those are kept at the fast track. So he is actually maintaining the inventory also. So how that inventory and everything manages, so all these things he can do it on his own, because he is operating a very low small level, or is it just maybe 1,000 2,000 products away. Now take this example on a bigger scale. Take a big example of a bigger large retail shop, maybe Big Bazaar, Ratnadeep, or all these shops. If you can see, they are having thousands or millions of items, they are having millions of transactions. How they are going to do that? They need to have a system which actually enables us for all these modules. And previously what happened, they used to have different softwares or different systems to maintain all their business operations. Maybe finance team using is one, purchasing and sales and inventory and where or shipping team, they are using something else. So to do an integration to get the actual data for the management team was a big nightmare. So that is why the ERP team comes in. They provide something called as integrated software, any ERP if you call, and from that system, it is a only one system. All the modules are interconnected, and from that system, you can do everything. You can manage your finance, purchase, sales, inventory, everything. All these modules you can use. So this is a basic idea what is called an ERP. And other modules like maybe not that relevant in human resources, HR, other modules related to fixed asset, cost accounting, everything can be managed. You name it, when I'll show you the environment, you'll see how many modules are there in an ERP. So from the ERP point of view, we know this is an integrated software, correct? So if we have discussed, it's an integrated software. Now, what are the leading ERPs in the system? So we know there are SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft Dynamics. These three are the leading ERPs in the system. And MSD. So you saw this slide, right? So if you see, this is the evolution. So when the Dynamics 2009 was there, so it was maybe at the 2008 kind at that time until excuse me, AX 2012. So that part actually Microsoft was mostly catering to the I'd say small to mid size or mid to large segment, not big companies where maybe thousands of users are there. There are so many capabilities going on at the same time, not catering to that requirement because the capability was not there. SAP and Oracle was mostly actually being pitched into that role. So, for an example, if Reliance is actually implementing an ERP, you can understand Reliance and different divisions. Just only take the example of Reliance Petroleum Gas or the LPG cylinder. So we had a project there, and one of my friend was working, and that project was being executed from like Mumbai, and that was a division of Reliance. LPG cylinder, and they were implementing SAP because they had so many users, so many different functionalities. The other ERPs was not able to handle them, and also finance portion of SAP was very strong. Right, so that was one of the advantages. Microsoft Dynamics was not into that big organization. Maybe there are few cases, but not much. SAP and Oracle. But with the advent of Dynamics 365 now, so if you go to Dynamics 365, right now this is a cloud application. So everything is now, all the ERPs right now in cloud. SAP, Oracle, Dynamics, everything is on cloud. But with the advent of Dynamics 365, if and or rather what we call as an integrated solution in cloud, Microsoft Dynamics ERPs are also catering to big organizations where they can go and pitch in for big projects. We can work for large organization. That capability has come. But mainly reason being the company is the ERP is actually being managed in cloud. The it is being robust. There are so many other functionalities happen, and this is being integrated with so many different things. And right now the ERP is not only one thing we are selling. We can sell the complete Microsoft package to all the customers, be it CRM, be it finance and operations, be it field service, be it reporting capabilities through Power BI, Power Apps. Those things are also there. So all these things are being very much right nowadays integrated, and a customer who is actually buying this, he can buy for many different reasons. For supply chain operations, he can go for F&O. For customer management, he can go for CRM, or for your application for field service, he can go for CRM field service. All these applications are there. So that is a good part of ERP whenever we are actually going ahead and integrating everything. So this Dynamics 365 F&O is coming into the picture, and it is helping us to achieve all those big projects. So that is the one thing. Okay, so if we go and talk about this ERP. So I have clear like mentioned what are the aspects that Microsoft Dynamics is bringing into by Microsoft Dynamics 365. Now let's just talk about when we have a project. Let's say there is a company called maybe Ratnadeep is implementing Dynamics 365, and okay, Ratnadeep, whoever doesn't know about Ratnadeep, is a big like retail chain for groceries and all those things like Big Bazaar. Okay, so if they have separate shops in different cities. Okay, so if Ratnadeep is implementing that application, so right now let's say you are working in a company and Ratnadeep is implementing. Now you are a technical consultant. Where do you fit in? Right, this is the main challenge. Where is your involvement? Where is exactly you will be fitting? You will be fitting in a different phase. So there are a few phases of any project, right? So we have our first phase, what we call as our as is study phase, is called our as is study. As is study is nothing but our understanding of the existing business process, and then we sit with our existing business employees or business process owners for Ratnadeep, maybe sales, finance. We understand how they do their operations on a day-to-day basis. Do you have involvement as a technical, junior technical? You do not. But if you are a senior technical or architect, do you have involvement? Definitely yes, you have an involvement in that. The reason I'll tell you later. The second phase is called what we call as to be study, or rather to be phase. To be phase is nothing but, and also at the same time we'll do our gap fit. I'll explain the terms. So what do you mean by to be or gap fitness? So once we have a business understanding, and then we go and try to map it with the product, because when the Dynamics 365 project product is there, it is actually having a few of the modules, right? Defined modules. So take an example for purchasing. So let's say for Dynamics, we have three different steps of purchasing process. And when we understand the business process of Ratnadeep, we got to know, okay, they have five different steps. So what, there is a gap of two steps, correct? We identified we need to develop two different steps. So that gap you will able to only understand if you have a good product knowledge, because you know those three steps clearly, and also have a business understanding. Now okay, we need to implement five steps. Those two is actually will be coming into that gap fitment analysis, that these two will be developing as a separate process, and based on these two we'll completely say okay, what will be the to be process. The to be process will include all my five steps, which actually involves the three steps from my base product, or which is what we call sandbox product, and the two steps which are we going to develop for you. And now after that we'll be doing the FDD, or what is we call as functional design document or business required document. They are different documents where we actually lay out the process how we are going to change the application according to the requirement. And as a junior technical, do you have a step in that? Maybe yes. As a senior technical, 100% yes, you have a say in that, because you can talk to the functional people, senior functional, the solution architect. You can lay out your plans. Okay, this is how I am going to think, this is a plan, or this is how I'm going to design, do the development. Definitely we are going to have a role in that. And now the part is our development and TDD preparation, TDD or development. And definitely you understand, as a technical consultant your role comes starts from here. And after that we have our UAT phases and also the go live phases. So these are the few, I mean, from a very high level understanding. There are other steps also for other projects, so SUD and other phases also, but I'm not going into that minute level, but this is from a high level. And our as a technical consultant, if you are a senior person, you definitely have a say in the first stages for the understanding of the business. Then you can also map, okay, these are the changes I have to do. But for TDD, UAT, before UAT doing unit testing, this is where we come in. And if you know about how we call a sprint development, in the agile methodology, work on sprints, do our development, do those testing, there only we are doing based on the, we are doing the work based on the TDD. So maybe you have a solution architect, senior technical person who is guiding us to, okay, these are the small parts of work that you have to deliver. As a junior consultant you can do those parts, and maybe you will not understand the whole picture, but once you go into the climb up into the ladder, you will have a complete understanding of the whole business process. And if you have that understanding, definitely you will be at par of a solution architect, because just to work on the technical aspect, I know what I am doing, for me ERP point of view it never helps, because it's an integrated product. So always we want to understand that if you're doing some changes that has an impact in other modules, to know that, that will be very critical. Okay, so these are the product phases what we are actually looking into. Now going back to the slide. So from the Dynamics 365 point of view, so these two the older versions were, first thing was our Windows based product. So we do not have a website which we can open from anywhere. It was an Windows based. That means you have to install a virtual machine. From that virtual machine you have to go and you have to install this product like an any software. We go on what we do, we install, right? And then okay. Okay, Ashraf, you can't. Okay, can you not see my screen, everyone? Can you just? I mean, I just stopped my share now. Before that,
Oh,
were you
yeah.
not able to see me?
Yeah, you can see.
Right now, I have stopped, but before that, when I was explaining, were you not able to see my screen?
Yeah, we were able to see the screen.
Okay, okay. Ashraf, just can you take just rejoin again? I think there may be some issue from your end, because I was actually sharing my screen. Okay, let me reshare. Okay. So yeah, coming back to the topic. So yeah, 29, 2012, these were the Windows versions. We have to go and install that software. And as you saw, there was limited capability from the user point of view, the scaling and everything you can learn. And other these topics you don't need to, I mean, need to diverge more into that, because this is more of a technical point. We'll discuss more definitely once we start on our journey in the technical learning. But yes, just to focus on the finance and operation part, if you see, the modules are much more modules. So Microsoft has broken down the modules to each and every department. So it can be your operation, sales, project, service, all these things are there. And from the most important part is it is cloud based, so the customer do not have a headache to maintain their servers, to maintain the database. Nothing is on their side. They can just uh, pay as per they use. That is a model of cloud, like a subscription basis. So if they are buying a subscription for 20, 30 users, they will only be paying for those 20 and 30 users. And also there is an option for on-premise development, which is very less used, but those are being used for maybe big large banks or something, because banks data are very critical. They don't use public cloud or something. They have their in-house data center. Every bank in India or large organization, if you see, they have this thing. So from the integration reporting point of view, we learn all these things, what is called SSRS reporting, common data service, TIXF, all these things we learn, but this is from the capability point of view. And from the functional point of view, if I show you, so from the functional point of view, so this modeling of workflows, what is workflow, approval process, organizational modeling, finance part, all these things we'll definitely cover more on from that part. Okay, so this is a core idea of the ERP. So mostly, firstly, if we go and look into the minor aspects, so the old version, if we call the old version, what we call as EXT 2012, that was a Windows-based version, and the version which we are using, D365 FNO. FO is finance and operation, FO. So that is called cloud-based. I will tell you the cloud architecture in a while. So this is the cloud-based application, and in the cloud-based application, as I said, the scalability and everything is automatically managed. So tomorrow, in the old version, what used to happen? So in one, when we go live, we estimate, okay, maybe we have 200 users. So we create that machine or server based on that requirement. Maybe we are giving a 32 GB or 64 GB RAM, 1 TB hard disk, and everything, all these things, right? When you are designing all this, okay, am I audible, everyone?
Low by sir.
Or my voice is
Low
very
by
low?
yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Kiran, you can just check with your microphone once. So maybe there's some issue, because I mean, I'm using this microphone quite well, and I can feel that everyone can listen me clearly. Okay. So going back to the topic, so when we have this architecture of the old version, so we are, everything was maintained by the IT team of the company. So as a partner or as a consultant, we used to guide them, okay, these are the requirements, this is what you have to buy, and this is what you. But after 2 years, let's say you have onboarded maybe 200 more employees, what will happen then? There will be more load on the ERP, there will be more server crashes, all these things. Then again, you have to go for your restructuring. Maybe you have to use a 64 128 GB RAM, more spaces, more scalability. All these things were a concern for the customers, because they were actually owning everything. They were responsible for maintaining everything. But with D365 as a cloud-based application, we do not need to worry on that. Microsoft is automatically taking care of that, based on the user load. And if you are having any new changes in the user, Microsoft, you will buy the license, and based on the number of users, Microsoft will keep on giving you the I would say backend structures of that ERP. It's like what we can tell, when if you have 20 users, you are using this much of capabilities. If you have 40 users, Microsoft will automatically like boost up the environment structure. So that is a cloud-based architecture model, and we are actually right now using this cloud-based architecture. That the structure I'm going to explain in a bit, but before that, I just want to mention one thing. So any project, whenever we are working, so there are a few things we need to more things we need to know actually. So we are mostly as a developer working in our development environment, and all these environment are being managed from a portal called LCS, right? So the development environment is actually, we have three type of environments for Microsoft by default. Whenever you are buying a license for the ERP, you get three environments by default. So one is production, one is UAT or testing environment. UAT is nothing but user acceptance test, or what we call as testing environment, and the third one is dev. So from the architecture point of view, as Microsoft is giving them by default, they mark it as a tier 1 environment. This is a tier 2, and these tiers are basically the infrastructure of the environment. So production will have the highest tier, which is the tier 3 environment. So these are the uh, environments that we have. Okay, so this is where we are actually working as a for development consultant, or as a junior developer. We are working for into the development, and we do not have any access for development in both this environment. We can only open the application. Okay, this is the understanding. So let me go back to the architecture, cloud architecture. Okay, so I just zoom in the screen. Okay, so this is a cloud architecture actually. So how the ERP, this is very broad level. Okay, so today, let's say you have a organization who is migrating from their own application, which is a small application, to Dynamics 365. So how they do that? They are actually going ahead and going into the cloud. So how they do that? They have a, so all their users and everything, we, you know, there is something called as a directory. So all those users are maintained in a, excuse me, Windows Server directory. All those users are actually migrated to Microsoft Azure Active Directory. There are two ways of implementing, as I said. There can be cloud implementation, and very few cases there can be on-premise implementation, where the database and everything is managed by the customer itself. For both of the cases, the customer needs to migrate their directory, their user details and everything, like to Microsoft Azure Active Directory, which is called as AAD. If you have heard the term Azure Active Directory, that is a directory from point of view. From that directory, you have the access of Microsoft Office 365, and in the admin portal, you can give the access to the all the users. And once that access is created, there is a account called on Microsoft account is created, and from that account there is a single sign-on process. This is the ERP, what we are actually referring to as finance and operations application. And that application, you can go ahead and log in with your same credential. Also, who are admins or whoever into managing senior developers, or whoever is managing the environment like development, production, UAT, as I said, it is being managed from a portal called LCS, Lifecycle Services. They will also be able to open LCS from their same user ID and login. That is the second part. And also VSTS, or what we call right nowadays as DevOps, right? DevOps also, if you are managing your development pipeline, a build pipeline, everything. So in that case also, they can use the same login. So Microsoft has enabled now single sign-on process. So once your login ID credentials are enabled, so you can access everything with a single credential. That is a good part of it. And tomorrow, if your organization again implements the CRM part, which is another application, which you see here. Here is a CRM application. Then also you will be able to use the same user ID and credential. That is a part which we are going to learn more, like how this sign-on process and everything works on. Okay, going into the advantages, yes, I think I have already discussed that. Storage, mobility, on-premise or online, LCS, all these things are advantages. We will not understand everything as of now, but that is clear. When we deep dive more into the course, we'll understand how everything is actually being used, and right now the visual environment and everything is on a Visual Studio point of view. So let me show you the environment and the development workspace. Actually, that will be a good start for you guys. Okay. Okay, this is the application, actually, the ERP application, and this is what we are going to use on a day-to-day basis, or what we call as a front end. This is the application. Now I was explaining you about the modules. If you go at the left side, you will see there is this many modules are there. Okay, this many modules are there. So previously in the older version there was similarly we had these modules, but there was not so many modules. Right now Microsoft has implemented few new modules and also has broken down the older modules to small modules, but it has different modules. So let us take start from the core part, which is the ledger concept or related to finance. We have the general ledger module here. You can set up all your finances, accounting, everything is here. You can go and set it up. This module is linked to all the other modules. If let's say tomorrow you are working in a project who are actually have a only has a supply chain module, they want to only implement the supply chain, maybe operations, supply chain, that part. So will they be interested in going ahead and implementing this audit, cost accounting, cost management? Maybe not. They will not be interested and will not work on these modules. We'll work on this part, which is called our inventory management, our procurement, warehousing, retail, all these things they will use. So whatever modules you want to use, you can definitely you can go ahead and use. Similarly, if there is a services company who are only giving professional services, let's say there is a company called Deloitte, and what they do, they are a services company, professional services company. Will they be interested in the supply chain part? Because they do not have any item, they will not be. What will they be interested? They will be interested in their this part, which is called project management and accounting, because based on the project they go and bill to the customers. So they will use the project accounting, the related to the finance, fixed asset, all these expense management, all these modules they are going to use. So based on different customer requirement, the different ERP modules will come into the picture. Okay, these are the modules, and here we are going to learn all these things, like how we can access this and everything from the navigation point of view. So our focus will be, I'd say, very less on the from this part. Mainly where will be our focus? Our focus will be from the technical part, where we are going to learn everything. So if I want to do a change, let's say if we have a list of customers in our system, so let us open that. So account receivable, and if we have our customers, okay, so this is a list of my customer. And if you open any of the customers, you'll see there are so many different fields. See, these are different tabs are there, and so many different fields are there. And tomorrow, as a functional consultant, I come and ask you to do some changes in that, add a new field and remove this field. Excuse me. To do all those changes. What we will do? Do we have an option to do it from here? No, we do not have. You have to go and do a development. Development means you have to open this form from the backend, find out where exactly you need to add some fields or change some fields, and you have to do that. So this is my development area, which is Visual Studio. If you go, and this is my development space. This is where we have a list of all the objects here. This AOT is nothing but our object list. Here we can go see all my tables, classes, forms, all these reports, everything is listed here, because the development starts from here. Here we have to find our object, uh, find the way how we can do and do the change, and once we deploy those changes, that changes will be reflected here. Okay, this is how the application works. So as I explaining you the process of purchase, right, we have three processes for a company, and five processes, and in ERP we have three processes. Those two new processes needs to be added. How do you add that? So you have to go to your accounts payable. You have your purchase orders, if you have seen the purchase order, and here you have a list of purchase order will be open. Okay, so this is a kind of a demo data already present. So here we have different stages. So purchase, you can go and do a confirmation and then do a receiving, invoicing, everything is there. But right now we understood, okay, there are other few steps we want to add. How do you do that? As a functional consultant, can I go and do the changes from here? I cannot do. I have to tell my technical team that okay, I need this change, you have to implement that, and for the implementation you have to come to the this part. You know what to change, which are the codes you need to write, then you will go and do this change. Okay, so this is the integration, and once we deploy that change, you will expect that change will be reflected here based on the requirement, whatever changes I want you to make. Okay, so this is the from the ERP part. Okay, yeah, coming back to this slide. So what's new? So yes, this is a cloud hosted environment. We have this Visual Studio development and this overlaying layer architecture that we'll discuss again later once we start the course. But the extension, these are methods of how we are going to change data entity web services. Okay, so this is from the course point of view. So going back into the course, I believe we have discussed everything. And from the course, yes, the agenda of the course. So what are we going to learn? Course objective, yes, we are going to learn definitely how we can create and customize an email, create our tables and relationships, forms, X++ code, basic security, some advanced topics. All these things we will be covering into the course. Okay, so before going into the details, any questions here?
Yeah, in the third slide, you had mentioned about SSR reports and BI integration. Whether that part also you are covering?
Yes, yes, SSRS report I will be covering on detail. Power BI integration is not that I'll be covering in detail, but I'll show you how to do that, and you can also practice. But SSRS report is that we will be covering detail. So there are two things. So first thing is SSRS for reporting. SSRS is the main reporting what we use. So if I show you from the application, so if you go here and there is every module will have something called as inquiries and reports. So if you go to inquiries and reports, all these reports you see, these are 80% of them are SSRS report, and few of these are inquiry based reports. So those reporting will definitely done if you, and most of the cases the basic requirement starts from the SSRS report. Power BI reporting is mainly used for you creating the dashboards. So to first of all, that connection is actually not given directly to Dynamics 365. You have to buy a separate license for that, and you have to pay separate money. But there are few sources are there, very few capabilities of free sources. Then we can download a Power BI desktop and we can try to integrate some data and create some dashboard. That I will show you later. But SSRS report, report through queries, all these things I'll cover in detail. Thank you everyone. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.